Hey, what's up, y'all? I'm Charles Gregory.
I'm Madim Touch.
And on today's show, we got something special.
Yes.
You know I love the interviews.
Yes, you do.
I love the interviews. And we had a Miss Jill, I call her Beautiful Stein. Such a beautiful person.
Yes, she was so sweet.
Third party candidate.
Yes. Green Party. Everybody's covering the Democrats and Republicans. We got the Green Party.
Third party, that's right. Third party candidate, and she was absolutely. You know, how important is it to understand who to vote for, right? People are selecting, right, making their decisions, right. But how important is it to know who you should vote for?
I mean, you got to make an educated decision.
Yes.
You know, and you got to have all the facts.
Got to.
And a lot of people are not covering the facts on the other side.
That's right.
You see what I'm saying? So when We Talk Weekly, we have Jill drilling down her entire campaign, what she's standing for. So you have options and you can make an educated decision.
Hey, what's up, y'all? I'm your boy Charles Gregory in the building.
And I'm your girl, Madim Touch, and you're watching We Talk Weekly. Super excited about today's show, Charles. Okay, so today is all about the elections. Okay, they're right around the corner.
Right around the corner. I hope you guys are going out to vote.
Yes, you have to. And so today we're talking about everything. We have Ms. Jill Stein.
Green Party, third party candidate. I love her, beautiful person.
Beautiful lady.
I just wanted to hug her. I couldn't hug her. We did a Skype interview. You gotta check it out. Don't go to
Charles always wants to flirt. But the lady, I don't care who they are. But it's okay. So look, awesome show, special episode. Don't go anywhere. So I'm your girl Touch.
Your boy Charles Gregory in the building.
And you're watching We Talk Weekly.
Great. So first, I'd like to welcome you to the show. We really appreciate you joining us in for We Talk Weekly, a segment of We Talk Weekly. Our co-host Madim Touch is out in the street right now, just talking a little bit about politics, and I'm glad that you accepted this opportunity to interview. And I just want to first, before we start the interview, I want to say that we absolutely love you. We think that you are genuine, and we really feel that you are for the community in America. And, you know, we definitely wish to see you as the next president, hopefully, you know. And if not, we hope that you continue to do the work that you have been putting out and saying that you're doing. So we're really pushing for that.
And I just got to say thank you so much. And I'm in it, you know, because we're in it together. And, you know, we're here because we're at a breaking point and we got to turn it into a tipping point for a world that's going to work for all of us. And I'm in it because of your inspiration and your vision, and together we're going to do it.
Yes, definitely. So, guys, if you're just tuning in, again, this is Charles Gregory of We Talk Weekly, and we had the opportunity to have a Miss Jill Stein here to interview with us, and we're excited that she actually took this this invitation to interview with us. So, the first question that I have for you is, first, you know, both Trump and Hillary campaign, they have not really outlined their platform, right? You have Donald Trump who knows who his platform is, right? But then you have a Hillary Clinton who kind of, it's innuendo. She really didn't outline it. So would you mind, just for the people who really want to know, what is your actual platform?
Great. And I'll just say, the other two candidates, it's very hard to know where they stand. Trump, because he changes his mind by the hour, really, and Hillary, because what she says is very different from what she has done. And she has a track record, everything from creating the prison state with the crime reform bill that opened the door to mass incarceration, to the dismantling aid to families with dependent children, which destroyed the social safety net, welfare as we used to know it, putting millions more kids into poverty, the Wall Street deregulation that created the crash that has lost so many jobs and stolen so many homes from so many families, and then NAFTA, this rigged trade agreement. So, her track record says one thing, her words say another, and I think this is a really important time for us to stand up for what we need and not to be swayed by the propaganda or the fear campaigns that are out there that are trying to take away our power, because we've got most of the people, who are in desperate need right now. And if word gets out, we can actually turn this around. So never accept for a minute this propaganda of powerlessness that they're trying to throw on our communities. In fact, we are powerful. And my campaign, I come to this as a medical doctor and a mother, and I used to practice clinical medicine. Now I practice political medicine, because it's the mother of all illnesses, and we got to heal our sick political system so we can do what it is, what it's going to take for us to survive and then for us to thrive. We deserve to thrive. We have the resources to thrive, and we have the public will if we can just get these predatory political parties out of the way. So I'm the one candidate in this race that is not funded by big corporate money, by lobbyists, by super PACs, just funded by everyday people, small donations. So I have the liberty. I'm the only one who has the liberty to stand up for what everyday people need. And that's pretty clear what we need. Number one, we need jobs. We call for good jobs, good wage jobs that start at a minimum of $15 an hour and go up from there. And we call for the right to a job, not to have to beg and plead for a job, but everyone has the right to a decent living and a decent job that respects you. And we call for actually an emergency jobs program that will create 20 million jobs, good wage jobs, that also solve this climate and environmental emergency that we have. And that environmental emergency hits above all communities of color and low-income communities through environmental racism, and it hits the future generation, because that's who's really getting hit full on. And the science is telling us that not only are the storms and the heat waves and the drought and the fires getting worse, but we're also looking at a sea level rise that's coming close. So we really do have an emergency, and we call for creating these 20 million jobs right now that will green our energy system, make it a healthy form of energy so it's not making us sick and not making workers sick. We call for a healthy food system and jobs in, ending those food deserts that affect so many inner cities, so many low-income and communities of color, and creating a healthy food system with food cooperatives and local small family farms and neighborhood farms. That's a big chunk of our platform. And the military part is really important, because not only is it making us more endangered, making us kind of the enemy of the world and the greatest threat to world peace, as Martin Luther King himself said, but also people around the world now identify us as the biggest threat to world peace. But it also robs us blind of the money we need for schools and healthcare and education and all that. So here's what we do with it. We cut the military so that it's truly a defense department and not an offense department, which is what it is right now. That gives us hundreds of billions of dollars additional to go back into our budget. And I should mention also, with the Green New Deal, we get so much healthier when we have a healthy food system that we're subsidizing instead of subsidizing, this lousy fast food, processed food that is making us sick. We get so much healthier by creating a Green New Deal that cuts our health expenditures. It could be by $1 trillion a year. Reduced health costs. So that also provides a whole lot of money that can pay for these jobs, to create these new jobs, and also the money to pay for the rest of our agenda. And what is that agenda? Number one, we call for bailing out the young people, the students, and the not so young people who were students but haven't been able to pay down their debt because the jobs aren't there. As I'm sure you know, the jobs aren't there to pay back that debt. And so we have a whole generation that's basically locked in debt servitude for the rest of their lives, essentially. We bailed out the banks during the Wall Street meltdown that was caused by the banks. How about that? We bailed out the crooks to the tune of $16 trillion, some say even more than that we provided. So we're saying if we could bail out the crooks who crashed the economy, it's about time to bail out the students who are the victims of that waste, fraud, and abuse. The problem is right now, young people have become a cash cow in a predatory economy. You are just the latest cash cow, and they're raking you over the coals for every little last dollar they can wring out of you. And this is part of that predatory economic system and a predatory political system. We also call for free public higher education for the same reasons I said before. Education is a right, including higher education. We know that higher education pays for itself. For every dollar we put in as taxpayers, we actually get back $7 in return. So it pays for itself. We know this. How do we know this? Because after the Second World War, we actually provided free higher education to all the returning soldiers. And what we found was for every dollar we put in as taxpayers, we got back $7 in revenues and public benefits. So it's the right thing to do. It's absolutely essential. And then we free up a whole generation. And let me just say, who is it that leads the fight in the struggle for justice? Whether it's economic justice, justice for workers, justice for African Americans to make Black Lives Matter, the civil rights movement, the peace movement, it's always led by young people.
Young people, yeah, that's a fact.
That is a fact. So we're dead in the water without our younger generation to lead the way forward. So it's absolutely essential, in my view, and this is my first priority, is to work my hardest to ensure that we cancel student debt. And just by coming out with 43 million people to cancel that debt, just by coming out to cancel it, we have the numbers to show that we really are the power. We really have the momentum to instruct Congress as well that it needs to get with the program and do the right thing here. So there are many ways we can make this happen. A couple other quick mentions. We also call for health care as a human right for everyone so that it's free at the point of purchase and paid for in our tax base. And the really cool thing is, right now, so much money is going into paper pushing and bureaucracy in this incredibly complicated healthcare system, that if we just simplify and streamline the insurance to use a Medicare system, but extend it so that it covers everybody and improve it so it covers everything, like your pharmaceuticals, your healthcare, your mental health, your hearing aids, if you need a hearing aid, your psychological care, social workers, drug rehab and prevention, the whole sphere should be covered. We can cover all that just from the savings in reducing all the waste and the paper pushing and the bureaucracy. So it doesn't cost us anymore. It just puts our healthcare dollars into real healthcare so that everyone is covered from head to toe and from cradle to grave. That's a key part of our program as well. And the last couple things to mention here is that we call for an end to police violence.
Yes, thank you for saying that. Yes.
And we support Black Lives Matter as the leading voice that has mobilized society around this crisis. And it's not rocket science to do that. So there's some specifics that I'll mention, but we also have to change the culture. Right. Not only the culture of policing, but actually all of our culture. Right. And kind of the legacy of racism that's left over from the criminal institution of slavery that the country was founded on. So first, the very simple things. We need to have a police review boards so that citizens are reviewing their police and communities are controlling their police instead of having police control their communities. So that's one thing. We need to have full-time investigators available to all communities so that every death at the hands of police is investigated. It doesn't require a special act from the Department of Justice in Washington, D.C. in order to find out what happened. Any death at the hands of police is a tragedy, and the family deserves to know, the victims, memory deserves to be answered, and the public deserves to know. So those are two concrete things. We need to stop the militarization of police. We need to ensure that police are trained in de-escalation techniques. They should have support from social workers and mental health workers when they go out so that they can have people with the proper skills come in and don't feel like they have to reach for a gun.
Definitely, we have to continue to fight, and you touch on some great topics in the same, I guess, breath of the mention of Ms. Clinton. Hillary has clinched the Democratic nomination, which made her pretty much, she made history, the first woman to be nominated to run as president. Now, though she has a lot of female support, there are a lot of women that are very much against Hillary Clinton. And as a female yourself, that's actually running for president of the United States, why do you think that is? Why do you think, especially since Hillary Clinton is running for support in women's rights, why do you think it's a lot of women that's against her?
Because if you get beyond the rhetoric, you see that what Hillary Clinton offers has not been good for women. If you actually look at the track record. So for example, Hillary talks about equal wages. Right. But where are wages? Wages are in poverty right now. The average wage is just barely above the poverty level. And when Hillary has called for raising the minimum wage, she's been very ambiguous about that. And usually she's called for maybe a $12 wage, whereas it took a lot of pressure to get her to step up to that. But a $12 minimum wage is still a poverty wage. So we say, yes, equal wages, but these should be equal and adequate and living wages that respect workers. We also call for, the right to a union. It's not just the fight for 15, it's the fight for 15 and a union, so that workers actually can fight for the other things that they need: safety in the workplace, retirement benefits, healthcare as a human right. Hillary has been an advocate for a very incomplete kind of healthcare that most people still can't afford. And it's about 29, 30 million Americans who cannot afford health insurance, and 1 in 3 who still can't afford to use it. So there's massive underinsurance right now. We call for a single payer system, which is what women and children need. Hillary calls for child care and says she's a great friend to women for advocating for child care, but she only calls for a relatively small child care subsidy that's not enough to cover it. Oh, wow. We need full child care, and we also need the good jobs for people to need the child care for.
Fantastic. And you know what, it is, I just want to back up, because you mentioned the lesser of the two evils before. And, it's this big conversation even on my Facebook, and a lot of the viewers who watch our show. We have a dynamic conversations and dialogue around Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump when you talk about the lesser of the two evils. And a lot of the conversation is now vote for Hillary because she's the lesser of the two evils. Now, I would like you to just, that kind of concept, that thought, I would like for you to explain how dangerous that is, the idea or the concept of the lesser of the two evils with regarding Donald Trump and Hillary.
Exactly. So first let me say it doesn't work. The lesser evil thing doesn't work. It's a false solution. It's a trap. It's a propaganda campaign. Here's why it doesn't work. Because people stopped coming out to vote for lesser evil politicians who were throwing them under the bus. Lesser evil means, it's still evil. It's just not as bad as the other guy might be doing it. But people cannot force themselves to come out and go to the polls to support lesser evil politicians. So that's why Democrats have been losing madly lately, and why Republicans have taken over so many state legislatures, so many governors, and in Congress. The Congress has flipped from used to be blue, 2 Democratic houses of Congress. First, one of them flipped in the midterm elections in 2010 because people were so pissed off. They expected, this progressive agenda to come with Barack Obama, who's such a likable and a gracious person. But unfortunately, Wall Street seemed to have control over his agenda once he got to the White House. So he was bailing out the crooks on Wall Street instead of bailing out homeowners or our schools or people in healthcare debt.
Just to kind of merge all of the rest of the questions that I pretty much had to you, how does it feel in, being supported by Dr. Cornel West and, him understanding the Black Lives Matter movement and just, all of that, that corresponds with each other. What is your take on all of that? Even the violence that has been happening amongst the police, for a particular demographic, what is your take on all of that,
Great, and that's a wonderful question. I feel like to be working together with Dr. Cornel West and Roy Tatum, who came over from Bernie's campaign, I feel like I am so honored and so blessed to be in such incredible company. This is a very magical moment, and there's no end to what we can do together. We're facing an unprecedented crisis. To look at this crisis of racism and police violence and the incarceration state that we have, as well as the expanding wars and the meltdown of the climate, and Wall Street is bigger and more prone to fail than ever. We're all in the target hairs right now, and this police violence is overflowing, and it's even backfiring at the police now. We're living in a garrison state, in armed communities. We can't go on like this.
Thank you. Well, there's no doubt that you have a very thorough outlined blueprint and platform that people can actually listen to and say, you know what, that makes sense. That's something that I believe that I can stand for, because I believe the other candidates, you just don't understand what their platform is. You don't know what their goal is or what their objectives are. So I thank you so much for giving We Talk Weekly this interview, accepting our invitation. We wish you the best, and we want you to continue the fight, because we're here fighting. We're here giving, something that we like to say is that we keep it 100, right? All the way 100, and we believe that you are on that path and you're keeping it all the way 100, not pulling any punches, because I want you to keep punching, keep fighting, and we support the effort. So without further ado, thank you again, and you have the last word to all of our viewers of We Talk Weekly.
Thank you for being the force, the irresistible force for the future we deserve. Don't let them talk you out of your power. You have the power. Together we're unstoppable. Welcome to the team.
There you go. Thank you so much. So there you go, America. There you have it. Ms. Jill Stein running for president on the third party, the Green Party. So now you know, so there's no excuses. So make sure if you don't do anything, make sure you go out and vote, and at least prep yourself and prepare yourself and keep up the good fight. I'm your host, Charles Gregory of We Talk Weekly, and make sure you follow us at We Talk Weekly, at Charles Gregory, and at Madim Touch. We play every 9:30 p.m. every Monday. So make sure you follow and make sure you continue to fight. I'm Charles Gregory with my co-host for the day, Ms. Jill Stein.
Thank you, Charles. Great to be with you.
And We'll see you on the other side.
Too many niggas on a bus stop. Take a ride through my hood where the buck stops. Sirens, firing, buckshots. Young niggas wildin', attitude, cops. You can smell the poverty a mile away. And they dreams is feeling like it's a mile away. I pay 100 if I can see a kid smile a day. They out here hustling, trying to get it and find a way. I mean attention in the air thick. Niggas with big beards speaking Arabic. Praying to Allah, hoping for forgiveness. Turn to the streets, get right back to business. Feeding your fam is priority. By any means, when it ain't work for minorities. We in the trap, in other words, we be trapping. Forever stuck in the trap. Now tell me next what's gonna happen. We ghetto living, we ghetto driven. Never mistaken for what the ghetto it isn't. I blur these words, I'm heard, the ghetto listen. I speak for those that feel the ghetto is prison. We ghetto living, we ghetto driven. Never mistaken for what the ghetto it isn't. I blur these words, I'm heard, the ghetto listen.
Hey, what's up, y'all? I'm your boy Charles Gregory.
And I'm your girl, Madim Touch.
And you're watching
We Talk Weekly.
So today, we're doing something a little different. This is kind of like after the shoot. We actually did a little segment about Jill Stein. We had the opportunity to interview Jill Stein, which was an absolutely amazing interview. Mm-hmm. But we just kind of wanted to take a little time out and talk about the importance of voting.
Yes. I'm gonna start on my people first. Yeah. Okay. And this is for minorities and women. Yeah. There are a lot of people who literally lost their lives, mothers, fathers, children, so that we can actually go into a voting booth and push a few buttons. They lost their lives, and so I just want everybody to remember the significance of it, because we can't downplay voting and say, I don't want to vote because I don't like somebody, because your ancestors will be rolling in their graves if they heard that kind of stuff.
Absolutely,
okay?
And you have people that's, they have strong ideas on the candidate that they don't want to vote for, right? And oftentimes you hear, well, I'm not voting because, this election isn't good, or it was bad, or they don't listen to me, or my vote don't count. Mm-hmm. At the very least, your ancestors died for you to have the right to vote, right? So at the very least, right, vote against the person who you don't want to be in there. Yeah. But vote for someone.
You can write someone's name in.
Absolutely. Yeah, how about that?
Okay.
Right?
You can write a name in if you choose that that's the best, avenue for you. But at the end of the day, it is a right that our government realized is so valuable that they try, up until today, strip us from that right to vote. Voting is such a powerful tool, regardless if you like the way that it's done based on electoral college or what have you. The system still knows that your vote does count.
Hey, what's up, y'all? That was an excellent show.
Yes,
fantastic. Yes. I loved it.
Yes, I loved it too.
Jill.
Yes.
I can't get enough of Miss Stein.
No, she's a sweetheart.
I love her. I need to hug her. I love her. Poet ain't even know it, right? I love her. I want to hug her.
I'm just so glad that she was able to explain her platform and what's going on, so you guys can make an educated decision and not be pigeonholed in just two parties. I mean, it was really fun, but I tell you, I kind of missed good news and bad news.
That's right, you should have.
I kind of miss love and relationships.
I didn't, but it was cool. But it was important.
It's very important. It was very important that we cover this. It's election time. Go out and vote. This is what we're about. We Talk Weekly. Catch us every Monday night at 9:30 p.m. on Comcast 66, 966, or Verizon 2930.
And definitely follow the show at We Talk Weekly.